So, my name's Aiden. I am a animator slash particles person, and I am the host for the podcasts of the game we are creating at TAFE. And this is...
I'm Max, his co-host. There might be two Maxes that you will be hearing in this series of podcasts. So I will be the Asian one, and you can probably tell from the accent that I will be speaking in. And I am the concept artist as well as modeler for Scroll of the Fallen Kings.
3D modeler, just to
3D
say
modeler,
that.
yeah.
And today we've got two guests with us, and they are...
I'm Callum Grier. I'm the lead game designer for Scroll of the Fallen. I also do quite a bit of the social media, so if you're generally talking to anyone, on the Facebooks or the Twitters, I'm probably replying to you. Hello.
And I'm Jordan. I'm the lead visual director for anything visual in the game. So I cover things like what the game's going to look like, the whole environmental feel, those sort of things.
So, tell us a bit about yourselves, not just about what you do in the actual process of creating this game, but your likes, your dislikes, so the audience can get to know you a little bit like that.
Well, I don't know. I like making games, and that's really, sounds fun, but it's also very boring when we're talking about making games. We're trying to figure out topics aside from that. I also enjoy playing games.
Oh.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I'm fairly a social person, so I like to go out and do other things.
Partying all day.
Yeah, all those sort of things. No, I'm just
He's
kidding.
the weird one.
I like to play games, but mainly I usually get distracted and end up making some kind of fun sort of mini game or something like that. So I don't know. I can't really focus on actually playing a game. I sort of have to be designing it. Yeah,
That's a great hobby.
Okay, well, if you guys want to tell us a bit about the game and the story behind it, so whichever one of you wants to go first.
Well, Jordan came up with the original idea of it.
yeah. I sparked the story. So, where should we start? It's a pretty vast story.
Why don't you start with the legend?
Yeah. So the story is based off a legend where you have four kings who, so we have four kings that their father has just died and they've inherited the kingdom. So because there are four brothers, they're arguing over who gets the throne, and they start to think of each other as enemies as their father was assassinated, and then they start to blame each other. So due to this bickering, they end up starting a full-out war with each other, leaving
the kingdom and stuff.
leaving the kingdom in disarray, and only the youngest brother, the brother of fire, has to takes it upon himself to save the kingdom. Each of these brothers have some kind heavenly power that they've inherited from their father.
Yeah.
And each brother is given that power. What were the powers? I think they were just immortal powers or something.
Yeah, so they were immortal powers, but the basis of them were elemental powers. So you had the youngest had the fire abilities, and the eldest was air, that sort of thing.
So they're based off the four ancient elements. Usually, it was derived from Roman mythology, and then spread around the world from there. So that's what we based it off. From there, the youngest brother seems like his brothers have become corrupt by their power, so he takes it upon himself by sacrificing his power to then create a weapon that will purify his brothers' souls, but also kill them. The purification process would also trap their powers into a scroll, and then that's where the title of the game comes in, the Scroll of the Fallen. And it's the brothers' powers, basically. So that's the legend. Over many decades or generations or something. Yeah, the scroll is passed down from father to son, and ultimately the fire brother became the king of the realm. So
Yes, excellent. So, give us a rough idea of how the world looks. What is the setting and like what's the time?
So kind of originally I envisioned the world to be a Persian style sort of Mediterranean influenced architecture with all the buildings and stuff. So it's very arid and desert like feel to the whole sort of landscape. And the whole kingdom was well, I guess it's a empire now. Became sort of populated and overpopulated. So it's I guess the city feels very cluttered, but very communal at the same time.
Yeah, if it was in the future, the city would almost have a dystopian feel to it, with like the buildings are sort of built on top of each other, and it's, I don't know, what would you describe it as, like a, I don't know, simple but charming sort of place.
Yeah. So, well, I think that describes the environment pretty well. Also, if you really want to visualize it, I got inspiration from games like Prince of Persia and Avatar, The Last Airbender, to sort of go off that for a visual style, because I really like that sort of feel and that sort of world.
Yeah.
Cool. So, give us a little idea about, just a little bit of an idea, because we don't want to ruin the story or the gameplay for any future people that might play this game, but just a little bit of an idea of who you play as and what his job is and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you play as Cyrus, who we're describing as an old blacksmith to an old emperor. He pretty much made a promise to the last emperor to keep the scroll safe from, the forces of evil and darkness, and due to pretty much trying not to say too much, sort of a moral conflict which doesn't go so well for him. He does end up giving up the scroll to evil, and now he's pretty much on a path of revenge and redemption to try and get it back. Well, not to get it back, but to
take it out of evil's hands, basically.
to fix what he caused by
Yeah.
failing at his duty. But yeah, in terms of gameplay, he's a huge tank of a man. He just runs straight through the place. He uses a little hatchet, like an axe, and like as a light weapon. And he's a blacksmith, so he uses his old trusty blacksmithing hammer as his heavy weapon.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of get away from the regular sword and dagger that most protagonists have in games, and sort of give him his own a weapon that would more suit his character and his bio and his background, basically. So we gave him the hammer instead, and the axe sort of gives him a more brute, stronger feel behind each hit. So that's what we were aiming for.
We're trying to have a lot of spectacle to the fighting, like really fast-paced but also intuitive. So, like, no matter what combo the player might put in, it feels like they're doing it right. So if they, just hit people with the hammer constantly, it's going to feel like you're actually just meant to do that all the time. Or maybe you want to just mix it up a bit and throw in a few axe hits, and we're trying to accommodate for everything the player might want to do.
Okay, well, again, not giving away too much. Have you guys got anything to say about it? Is there any special powers this guy might use? Does he actually have anything? Not giving away the actual attacks, but anything like that?
Well, we had we wanted to go off the sort of elemental feel. So when you first start, you start out with no powers whatsoever. You're just you. But not soon after you start the game, you gain fire as your first ability. Where we had a sequence of you unlocking more abilities along the way, but we're going to keep that for the players to discover. But with the fire abilities, we wanted to orientate it around fire mainly, and we wanted to focus on having the player experience what the fire is, as in more of a belief, like a religious sort of background.
Yeah, that's the big thing in the world that we've created, is that the actual belief structure of the people there. They after this huge thing called the Purge, where almost all of magic was,
Purged from the land.
purged. Yeah,
Yeah.
purged from the land. They were only left with a few, very few artifacts of magic, and they were all elemental based. So they came to see the elements as these almost divine entities. They're not so much worshipped as gods as just hopes, I guess.
Yeah, each symbol means something. So fire would mean what would fire mean?
Fire was like the obviously just warmth, light. It was, being able to find yourself in the darkness, even if you're going through. A lot of people who are like a bit down on life, or just it's the royal. It's also the royal symbol, the royal element. So people are very. Most people just follow that just because everyone else does. But it is mainly focused on people who are like trying to find their way in life. People of high status and high power also tend to worship it.
And then the other elements would then cover like the other bases, like earth would be stability. Water was
like the
change.
Yeah, change. Well, water was more like the on-flowing of life. So they do have reincarnation sort of belief in their culture. So they see water as flowing on to the next life. So it's actually pretty significant of death in Azradin, our little.
Yeah, that's what the world's called.
That's what the world.
Well,
that's
the
what
land.
the land. Yeah.
It's called Azradin.
Okay, so let's finish the day with our last question. Could you tell us about the progression of the game to give an audience an idea of where the game is at, to keep track of the development as well?
Yeah, we have motion capture tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll be capturing all the motion capture from some actors and actresses. Hopefully, they're dancers, so that would be kind of interesting. So,
Bet you guys are looking forward to watching that.
if they're women, of course.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll be there
No,
recording.
I was expecting a lot more people to be frantic by this point about the motion captures tomorrow, but it seems all.
Yeah,
Seems pretty
things seem to be
relaxed.
coming together pretty well.
Yeah.
Though I would say that we are behind in terms of where we'd like to be at, but that just means we have to get a little bit more of a wriggle on, get people working more productively. So yeah, hopefully we should have this completed by our deadline. So
Well, at least have a very high polish, high quality product by the end, whether it's the full game or just a very long demo.
yeah.
Cool. So before we end it, have you guys got any special things that might be coming out as the game's being developed? Any Facebook pages you want people to like? Twitter? Any YouTubes? Anything like that?
Well, if you're going on Twitter, you can follow Scrollful or @Scrollful. If you're on Facebook, then it's Scroll of the Fallen on Facebook, and same thing for the Blogspot, scrollofthefallen.blogspot.com.
Yeah, we're also gonna release an app that ties with the game, and hopefully a web series to go along with that. So with the app, you get to unlock extra things like concept art, OSTs, and all those sorts of cool things. And they'll also tie in with the game. So if you buy the game, then when you play through it, you get like some secret keys that can be used to unlock extra things in the app, along with the web series as well. So that was an extra thing that we're working on trying to get done.
I'm trying to get through that.
Cool. And what are you guys planning to do next week with all the development that's going on?
Well, there's a simple answer for that one, and that would just be work through it.
Yeah, well, I'm just getting through the blueprints and stuff of level 1, and that'll start getting modeled by the level builders and a bit more refined. Yeah, basically Jordan. And I'll get working on level 2, 3, 4, and onwards. But yeah, we're definitely getting through it.
Yeah, I think because we'll get the motion capture data back by next week, so I'm gonna hopefully try and apply that to the characters, knock out some animations for the main character, and get him actually moving through the level, through the game, with some kind of style.
Right. So, anything else you want to add in before I tell the audience who we're bringing in next week?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Pretty much everything I could think of.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could bring in some concept artists, and maybe they could give us an idea.
Well, next week we are bringing in a David Wong and a Billy Park, who will be talking about the webisodes and how they're coming along, all that kind of stuff. So hopefully they've got a bit of information for that. I myself am actually working on that as well. So yeah, so thanks for coming in, guys.
Yeah. See you guys.
My name's Aiden. This is
Max Power.
and this is the podcast. See you guys.